Heroes and History. John Chapman, Johnny Appleseed. Americans move west. Americans signed a peace treaty with Britain after the War for Independence. The treaty gave Americans the right to move west of the Appalachian Mountains. The U.S. government gave free land to people who moved to western Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana. The government said that these pioneers had to plant 50 apple trees on their new farms in their first year. Why were apples important? Apples could keep people alive. People ate fresh apples in the fall. They ate dried apples in the winter. They made apple sauce, apple pies, and apple pancakes. They drank more apple cider than water. They made applejack, a kind of whiskey. People sometimes used apples as money. John Chapman. John Chapman was born in Leominster, Massachusetts, on September 26, 1774. His father was a farmer. He had fought in the American Revolution. John's mother died when John was only 2 years old. John grew up just after the Americans got their independence from Britain. There are many stories about John Chapman. People said that he was a gentle, kind man and a great preacher and storyteller. John Chapman's philosophy of life came from the teachings of Emanuel Swedenborg. Swedenborg taught people, do good without looking for anything in return. Study nature and love nature. True to his philosophy, John Chapman lived in harmony with nature. He was quite unusual. His dark brown hair came down to his shoulders. He always walked barefoot, even in the winter. He carried his Bible with him wherever he went. The bottoms of his feet were tough like the soles of shoes. He made his clothes from coffee sacks. He liked to sleep outdoors. Some people said he looked a little insane. Chapman loved animals. He would not hurt or kill any animal, not even a rattlesnake. He was a vegetarian. He did not eat meat. He walked wherever he went because he thought it was cruel to ride a horse. John Chapman was a gardener as well as a preacher. He knew a lot about trees. He saw a way to help the people who were moving west. He could get apple trees ready for them. Chapman becomes Johnny Appleseed. Chapman got large bags of apple seeds from cider mills. He moved west a few years ahead of the pioneers. He planted the apple seeds along the rivers all over Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana. When the pioneers came, Chapman sold his little apple trees for 5 or 6 cents each. He gave away a lot of apple trees, too. People began to call him Johnny Appleseed. John Chapman traveled between the places where his apple tree nurseries were. He never had a permanent place to live. Sometimes he stayed in people's homes. He paid for his stay with apple tree seedlings and seeds for medicinal plants. The pioneers loved to hear his stories and his preaching. They were happy to have him as a guest in their homes. By the 1830s, John Chapman had dozens of tree nurseries throughout western Pennsylvania, central Ohio, and parts of Indiana. The Peacemaker. The pioneers had moved into Indians' lands. The Indians did not welcome them. Most white people in those days were afraid of the Indians and hated them. John Chapman made friends with the Indians. He brought them seeds for medicinal plants. He learned their languages. The Indians trusted him. They treated him kindly. Chapman was often able to make peace between the Indians and the pioneers. By the time Chapman was 70 years old, the apple orchards from his seeds covered 100,000 square miles. He died in 1845, but his legend continued to grow. People told amazing stories about his courage and his adventures. Today, there are many monuments to Johnny Appleseed in the Midwest. Walt Disney made a short movie about him in 1948. That movie is now on a DVD with other American legends and heroes. American Legends. You can see a part of it on YouTube.com. Search for Johnny Appleseed. For more resources and information about subscriptions to Easy English News, visit our website elizabethclaire.com.